I would tell you to have one if I wasn't concerned about your weight.
I'm going live.
All you do is bitch your mom, bitch your mom.
We could reenact it.
You're live.
We're live. I don't have my mic on.
Yes, the people hear you.
But I don't have my mic on.
It's on.
It's not on. I can't hear myself.
I can hear you.
There's no power in the box. That's the problem. Come in. We have technical difficulties. Can I get Q in here to fix the technical difficulties?
Scheiße. Oh God.
There's no power in the damn thing.
This headphones?
In the headphone jack.
Hold on.
Hold on. We have technical difficulties, everybody. We're gonna have to power down the mothership. Here comes Q to the rescue. He doesn't want to come near me, or maybe he does because I was making love to a fucking blow pop earlier.
Oh man, what the fuck?
Something happened there.
You gotta go underneath there and hand me the black kid.
I'll get it. Hold on. Let me go down on you, Q.
Take it through the hole. Oh, there we
There we
go.
go.
Oh.
You just sit back
Oh.
there. You're the guest.
Oh God.
Technical difficulties
Oh,
over.
jeez.
So, we're live. I hope everybody enjoyed that. For everybody in iTunes land, I apologize. We had technical difficulties. Q was just looking for a reason for me to go down on him, simply because he saw me have a watermelon blow pop earlier, and he got excited. His little Tootsie Roll moved. So, so we have a special guest in today. Not only is he on the shooting circuit, not only is he in charge, I'm going to say, of all things Magnus, in charge, but he's got a good pulse of everything that's going on right now, and we've seen kind of a blip in gun sales and everything going crazy. He's going to talk to us about shooting. He's going to talk to us about working for a crazy Filipino. He's going to talk to us about everything, shooting, sales, anything we can ask for. I hope everybody's excited. We have Marco from Magnus.
What's up?
What's up?
Not much.
So I'm really excited to have you in because it's going crazy right now. Everybody I talked to, and I had dinner the other night with the guys from Kenzies Optics and some of the folks, everything seems to be blowing up. We're going to get to your shooting and everything else, but are you seeing the stores get busier and everything get a little crazy after all these shootings and everything that's going on?
Usually during shooting, it gets busy. It's natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy because how reactive the population is, the two-way population. It gets a little crazy. So in case those of you that don't know, anytime that there's a mass shooting or there's systemic risk from politics, the gun stores tend to go a little crazy. And they tend to see an uptick in traffic, and it's not so much the uptick in traffic that intrigues me, it's the type of people you see come in and purchase. It's not the everyday people. You start to get like the grandmothers looking to purchase guns. That's when it gets a little crazy. So tell me what you're seeing out there. Give everybody kind of the lay of the land on what you're seeing out there, and then we're going to get into how you get into shooting, how you get sucked into this crazy world.
Yeah, a lot of first-time buyers these days, especially after shootings. It's just it's a crazy world out there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's pretty natural just to go that direction.
Now, when you get someone in the store, and I want to ask this right out the gate because people want to know, and they say, "Hey, what do I buy?" What's your first answer?
That's a lot of people recommend shotguns for them. It's the most hilarious thing ever because you know the racket and they're gonna get scared. No, I usually recommend find the one that fits your hand the best. I usually recommend handguns for the most part, especially 9mm ones.
Oh, of course.
Yep. Depending on the person, if they can operate the slide or not. Elderly people usually can't operate the slide, so you gotta show them how to do it. Most of them usually use revolvers. The downside is the round capacity. You get like 6 shots. Well, 6 to 8 these days.
But you get people that come in with those preconceived notions like the shotgun, and they're like, you know, I need a home defense.
That's true.
I need a 12 gauge.
The spread is so big.
Yeah, pump action. Can't miss. Can't miss with that.
Yeah.
So you get these folks in. It's crazy, and you're in that store all day. You see all kinds of wackadoos, I'm sure, come in and ask you all kinds of questions. Have you ever had to be like, look, dude, buy or leave?
Not yet at this shop, at least.
Yeah, he's operating a little more high-end, bougie.
Luckily at this shop, no, not yet.
Not yet. So you get into this crazy world, and I read up a little bit on your background. How did you even get into shooting, and how did you even get sucked into the whole sport and the lifestyle?
Well, when I was a kid, I always liked the guns in general. My uncle taught me how to shoot when I was young, so it's part of the family thing.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's a big culture in the Philippines.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just guns, cars, girls, the usual. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big Filipino thing. I mean, what is the culture like in the Philippines that people feel the need to arm themselves? It's like the Wild West there.
Used to be. I guess some areas still is kind of, but I mean, it's just part of that culture.
What's the deal? What's the deal over there with like laws and shit with guns?
I think it's wide open, isn't it?
A little bit. If you have money, you can almost do whatever you want, honestly. But it's definitely a rich man's sport there. It's more expensive. It's usually double the cost, just depending on the stuff. But otherwise, their laws are a little more stricter than ours. You still have to pay paperwork and stuff. And they actually have gun bans during certain times of the year, mainly for elections. So you can't even shoot or carry a gun with you, stuff like that.
Really?
But yeah.
Is the Philippines is its own country?
Yeah, essentially. A lot busy now though. That thing is a little bit of traffic.
Yeah, it's getting, it's jumping.
Like I'm from Cebu, like JJ, so it used to be countryside there years ago.
No,
now
it's not anymore. No.
Yeah, you get stuck in traffic everywhere now. So
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy, Q. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, we gotta get over there.
You should.
So when you come from the Philippines and you have that gun culture kind of burned into you, do you feel like when you come here, like, okay, this is even better because the laws are a little more lax than the Philippines? Because I know the Australians love it here because of that.
Yeah, it's America, man. It's freaking freedom. So.
And you get to work in a gun shop, so you're on the other side of it. You're desensitized now. Now you have access to everything, so you just have access to all of it. So you gotta love it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a blessing and a curse because like the paycheck almost goes back to it.
Of course it
Because we get to
does.
see the cool stuff before it even comes out. So.
Now you get into competing, and how'd you get sucked into that?
Well, I was like 17 during the time. I played a lot of paintball for years in airsoft.
Right.
Just the real guns just seem cooler, so you're always chasing that kind of adrenaline rush, I guess.
Right.
And then I kind of just fell into doing a bunch of multi-gun, two-gun stuff in the beginning. A lot of outlaw matches.
It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy. And I feel like the Philippines is building this little bit of a culture where with JJ and some of the guys coming over, everybody's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's like natural.
Yeah, it comes natural.
Yeah.
So you get sucked into it. You start competing, you start shooting.
Yep.
How did you figure out you were going to work at a gun shop and that was going to be the ticket? You were going to, kind of ride off into the sunset, having the best of both worlds.
I kind of fell into it, I guess. I actually went to school for criminal justice law enforcement, so. And I got offered, JJ offered me this job, was it like 3-4 years ago now? So I kind of went that route, just to sort of chase a dream, I guess. Just
You didn't want to get on a reserve department or something?
Thinking about it still, but probably not.
You got to go through the academy, and that's the pisser, and I've been through that. It's not fun. But it's a lot of work, but it's not a bad gig if you find the right department to kind of hook up with. So you start competing, you start working at the shop, and you start going through the motions of trial and error, trying different guns, trying different stuff, learning what's best. It has to be amazing for you having Jay there to kind of guide you through the process, and every mistake that he made you get to bypass in some ways, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. So, you get access to him, and you have the ability to kind of get out there and compete and have kind of one of the best mentors in the business. Is that,
absolutely.
yeah, how's that been?
That's pretty intimidating in the beginning because it's like, that's freaking JJ Ricaza right there.
Right.
Having to work for him and good friend as well.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind because some of the stuff he does I could never do, and, I could never be that skinny either, so. But do you share, the key question in all this is, do you share his appetite?
Oh God, no! I eat like a bird. Actually, it's funny because when we have lunch at the shop,
right,
he's eyeing my food because he's gonna see if I finish it.
He's out of control.
Oh man,
he's like a garbage disposal.
That guy can eat, dude.
He can eat. So all these matches you go to, what makes you? How do you select the matches you want to do? And what's the thought process when you're like, geez, I want to do this match versus this match, especially as a guy who's doing it, kind of. Desperado a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. How do you select?
Usually the funness level of it, like Red October, still my favorite match. I'd say all of the AKs, stuff like that.
See?
Yeah, the AK life.
AK life.
Mm-hmm.
So we finally got you in the right place. Of course, in here in Arsenal and K-Bar, we have AKs everywhere. So you have some fun. You're doing all this stuff, and you're shooting all this different stuff. Do you ever feel like you have the you want to train this full time and make a career out of this, kind of like JJ did?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's pretty serious, especially with the people we shoot with. It's a really good group of guys and girls.
Yeah,
they're very competitive.
People like him, Taryn, they're paving the way for someone to actually make a living out of this in the long run. Have you thought about what that'll look like and how to do that?
For sure, not gonna get rich off it, but I do enjoy it. So I just love it, this industry and everything.
Yeah, it's a fun industry. I mean, it's a little bit, at times, like I said, very immature. There's a lot of immaturity in it. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
But I think it's the funnest sport in the world, and I think that there are times, I took a walk around the gun show this past weekend, and it's just so cool to walk around and see the old timers. And see stuff. Yeah, oh yeah. I have a blast with that, and I get a kick, because the show life, and going, SHOT Show and NRA are their own world, because that's the group of cackling hens. And I always say, everybody wants to be somebody, just ask them. And everybody thinks, that they're this important thing. But what it's all about is going to those shows, just walking around and seeing some of the cool startup businesses, some of the small businesses, and some of the guys that just love the 2A community. I walked past a booth of old timers, man, in an NRA booth. I know that's a sore subject, but man, in an NRA booth, and they were just kind of hanging out, chilling. And they were like, hey, how you doing? And I just rapped with them for a few minutes, and they're just happy to be there.
Yeah,
and that's what's genuinely fun about the sport. So you get to hear all these cool stories about JJ in the shop, and he travels all over the world and shoots. When do you feel like it's going to be your time to do that?
It's starting up now. I mean, I got to leave for Bali on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So
tell us about that.
That's our friend runs that match in range, so we got to hook up there, luckily. We decided last minute to go about maybe 2 months ago. So we just bought tickets, and then gonna borrow guns when we get there, which should be fun, and then just shoot the match. The good thing is the range, the beach, and the hotel is one area. So we don't really have to go far for anything, so it should be awesome. I've never been to Bali either, but
yeah, that sounds amazing.
It's pretty fun.
So when you're starting out, what advice do you give guys starting out thinking of starting to run matches that require that type of extreme travel?
Oh man, get the rule. They're gonna shoot the match, you mean?
Yeah.
Look up the laws in the country you're going to, the culture too, because different stuff. Otherwise, get mentally prepped for that. Try to get there a few days early to acclimate to the temperature or the time changeover, which we had to do. Not a problem for me. I haven't insomnia anyway, so. And then just try to get pictures of the range, see what kind of terrain they're at.
Right.
Get the proper shoes for that. That's a big thing. It's like tires on a car.
Sure.
Race the
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a big thing.
So your advice is get acclimated to your scenario, surroundings, everything that you're going to deal with. Take a hard look at everything that goes into that match. And how important is it to walk? Can you walk? You can walk.
Stages, yeah, usually a couple days ahead. It's always good to highly recommended. It just gives you, like, we're looking for any edge, honestly, in every competition. Like, most guys will win by 1 second, barely points sometimes, 1%.
Do you get a practice round?
Not really a practice run. Like, when you're walking the stage, you can't really touch anything either. It's just, you kind of get to your walk through those, so you're kind of more mentally prepared.
Right.
So it's always better to be there earlier than later.
And there's so many categories. What advice do you give to people when they're choosing a category?
When they're choosing a division, that's
a division, yeah.
I usually recommend going to watch a match and then kind of running with, or just honestly go to a match and shoot it. That's the best way to do it. Just run what you got for now.
And figure it out.
And then see, like, other guys, what are they running, and then try to figure out what division you want to get in, and then put all your money in that division. That's what I highly recommend.
Yeah, and opens where the big boys play, right?
Running with the Wolves.
Running with the Wolves.
Or PCC.
PCC.
But everyone makes fun of it. I shoot it for the past, like, 2 seasons, but I make fun of it. It's hilarious.
PCC is fire right now.
It is.
Why is that?
It's a lot easier to get into for most people because you don't really have to wear a mag pouch anymore, especially with mag capacity being like 40 to 60 rounds. I mean, Limcat has like a mag that's like 90 rounds for their pieces. It's freaking crazy, but
Q 90 rounds, and you can hit something.
Yeah, the first one doesn't get it, the next is 99 or whatever.
90 fucking rounds.
It's crazy.
You gotta be shitting me. Who's kind of some of your favorite champions besides JJ?
A lot of my friends actually shoot against with Max Leandrenis.
Yep.
Great guy to shoot against with. Just shot with Josh Frolic last week in Wyoming. That was pretty fun. First time I met that guy. I actually talked to him. I got my ass kicked that match, but it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you're getting out there and you start, you know, I heard a great quote once. You know, I get out there and train quite a bit, and you know, some guys have that approach of like, you know what, there might be 10 guys ahead of me, but I'm okay with the 10 guys ahead of me. They're pretty fucking good. And I try to explain to people anytime, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's shooting, whether it's training, there's always going to be somebody better.
Yeah.
There'll always be somebody better. It's a matter of what you learn when you lose.
True. Yeah. So I say to myself, every loss. It's like, learn from this. So.
Learn from it, climb, get better, improve your performance. And has it surprised you, being one of the younger guys coming into the game now, that taking care of your body?
Oh, it's a big thing.
Oh, it's huge.
That is huge. You have to do it now to be competitive, in my opinion. Like the old days where you just shoot good now, it's not like that anymore. You really have to be pretty physical, especially with these new matches coming up. There's a lot of positions you got to get to. That speed makes really a big difference.
Oh, speed's a huge equalizer. Getting to the spot, getting to the point. But, you know, it's amazing because I've seen it evolve in my time where, like I say all the time, the days of being one of the dusty buckle and boot guys, just getting out there and just swinging around, you're at a supreme disadvantage if you're not, you know, I can remember years ago even Max picking my brain about nutrition and, you know, how to take care of himself, and you're seeing that come in more and more with JJ, with Shane, with certain guys. Training and taking care of your body and your mind has become so freaking important. Like you brought up, even flying in a day early, getting acclimated, getting used to the climate, getting used to the weather, getting a good night's rest, whatever it is, that you can give yourself a tactical advantage going on to the range. It's like anything else now. And it's come a long, long ways. I remember having Taryn on a podcast and talking about everybody jumping in a car, sleeping in the cars, one hotel room, 5 people on the floor.
Oh, dude, rough.
Yeah, those days are over now. It's changing because now you have people realizing, and sponsors are coming in now and they're realizing, Marco, you can't do it. You can't sponsor a guy and nothing's free anymore. It's not, you have to kind of get behind these guys and support them, and if you're going to support them, you have to get behind them, not just with, hey, here's a muzzle brake, go shoot for me. I mean, those days are kind of few and far between.
Pretty much.
And, you know, whether it's ammo and everything else, and how many rounds do you put down range when you're training?
On average, usually 1,000 a month. If it's like a big match month, like you do a couple matches, it's usually 2,000. But it's usually about 1,500, I say, average every month.
And getting those reps is really important. And
Yeah.
if you're not getting the reps, you're not going to get better.
Oh, yeah. And then the mindset during the reps, too. Like, if you're just going through the motions, that's how you know you should stop right there, because you're not really getting it anymore. So,
how many hours are you on the range training?
Oh, man. We shoot a match at least twice a week. And then I usually treat local matches like a practice, so I'll try stuff that and see if it works there. And then if it worked, I'll practice that later at the other range after the match. I'm gonna go eat after the match, of course, but then go straight to the range and then practice more.
Practice and drill it
Yeah,
out.
and see what I did worse on, and kind of figure out what happened, what I did wrong there. And then it's good to take videos too, especially just every stage, even if it goes horrible, because you can see what you're doing, like
Yeah.
which way you're running, the hips are pointed, stuff like that.
I want to ask you this because I asked JJ this,
Yeah.
and you're one of the younger guys, and I really want you to give me kind of your long form answer.
Yeah.
How do we save shooting from pro shooting from a media perspective? Because
man.
I feel like it's a
Yeah.
huge miss,
Yeah.
and I feel like people would get into it if it was broadcasted
Like
somewhere.
next games or something, that'd be awesome.
How do we save it?
It's, you gotta get a really good camera team, I guess. You really just have to get it out there. A lot of, I guess, TV areas are afraid to just air it, I guess, because it's a gun thing. They don't
Yeah, but
want to
you
get
can
involved.
stream
Oh,
now.
absolutely. That's a good point. But I'd probably get, like, I think you have to evolve the targets, honestly, because we're still using paper. It's like 2019 now. It'd be cool if you can see the actual, like, you're shooting, and it'll say the actual score right away, like in some sort of electronic reactive target.
Like, what I don't understand is the NFL has cameras that come on the field
Yeah.
up and down. Why doesn't IPSC or IDPA develop an app like Red Bull does, like Red Bull
yeah.
TV? And why don't they just have a channel? And like, I don't know what, like, I want to talk to their marketing team and be like, you guys are idiots. I know you can't say that. I'm going to say it because I want to say, like, you have a golden chance here.
I agree, yeah.
You can stream, you can put this stuff out there, you can create an app, and let the people choose.
Yeah, I think most of the time it comes down to cost for the ranges and stuff. Because you put on a match, it gets pretty pricey for the big ones. Although, like, in my opinion, I think they should just set up cameras on that certain stage at different angles.
I had a theory.
To go through that.
You might be too young to remember this. Q remembers this. When the NHL had, that puck, and you could follow the puck, it would turn red.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Like, you could pass and you could see
Yeah,
it.
you see it.
If they had that with the rounds
That'd be cool.
on the range, and you could follow and track the score, the key is the score.
It is.
If you can track the score throughout the match and follow it like a story, I guarantee you they would blow up.
Yeah.
I need to look into that because I don't know why they stopped that. That was a pretty good.
That was dumb as shit for hockey.
I thought that was cool, but yeah.
Jeremy's chiming in because it's hockey. He's like, "Arr."
He said people were pissed. They didn't like it. Like the old school.
Yeah, it was a little invasive. It was a little too much, seeing that shit.
I'll show you invasive.
It,
The purist coming out.
yeah, but I just think shooting sports,
Yeah.
I almost want to sit in a room with IDPA and IPSC and be like, you both need to get a quality camera crew that goes around to even the top 5 matches and takes quality video work and follows the story of a shooter and put it on a channel.
Just follow the super squad
Yeah,
and golden.
and let the people choose. And if the people choose to tune in and support it, and if you have a way to broadcast the score on an ongoing basis and you have commentary,
Yep.
people will love it.
It's almost at that point now because we have that new app, Practice Score. It pretty much revolutionized the shooting community.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because the scores can be updated almost immediately on the pad versus we used to write it on paper back then.
It's crazy.
Now it's all pad. Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
It's crazy.
I guess you could incorporate that to the camera system and then make it like a live stream TV thing where you can see the scores, just keep updating.
But don't you, as a young guy in your lifetime, want to see it become the sport that it could be?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not that young. I'm like 30 though. I got a baby face. It's freaking.
He just said, Q, he's not that young. He's like
I'm
30.
Like 30.
Yeah, I know.
Q and I are 50.
Choke
Oh,
you out
jeez.
with my hands.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
I got pants older than you.
All right.
So it's good though because
Yeah.
I like when the younger guys coming in that are dominating and crushing the sport and supporting the sport and getting into it.
Yep.
There is a future for money to be made and there's a future for the media component, but we need
Yeah.
some of these older guys to die.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. I
Some
think
of the old school thinking, like it's like the old guys who run most ranges. They don't like matches at the range, so it's
No.
really hard to get them on board to run a match, which is unfortunate because it's just more business for the range. Honestly, it's not like they're not safe or anything. Most of the shooters that shoot competitively are safer than pretty much everyone else. So,
on a side note, Q, there's everyone's saying the audio's reverberating. We have a strange echo.
uh-oh.
Yeah, I think we got it.
You fixed it?
Damn gremlins, man.
Tell me
Gremlins.
everybody if the gremlins are still fucking with technical gremlins today. Anywho,
Yep.
few questions coming in. Fox created that for better NHL hockey and TV experience. Hockey purists hated it. True. Everybody's saying Q fixed the echo. And we got another question. Marco, what pistols are you shooting currently?
Oh man, usually for the most part I shoot 2011s. I shoot a Limcat custom. It's a 38 Super Comp gun, very fancy.
How much does that cost?
The way I decked it out, about $8,000
So everybody out there,
for a handgun. Yeah,
$8,000 for a handgun.
yeah. Got to pay to play.
You got to pay to play.
Absolutely.
If somebody wants to get in the game at a reasonable
Yep.
price, what, a
Oh.
Glock? Kind of.
If they're trying to stick to honestly open division, if you're trying to get in that, you just want to spend the money. STI is a good way to go because it's kind of cheap. They're about
Yeah, you
4,000.
get everything for about 4
And
Gs.
then after that, you get into the custom guns, which is double. But if you know you want that division, I'd say just go straight for the custom gun. Save the money, save the time.
Save the money, save the time.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get in bare bones under
Like
2
bare
Gs or
bones,
under,
like a, I don't the SIG series, excellent. The X5, especially the new one,
X5, SIG.
tungsten hybrid one. That thing is fantastic.
You know, I
Yeah.
want to ask you about SIG because
Yep.
they've come under a lot of fire lately. What's the deal there? Is it just marketing, or they haven't? You seen a lot of issues in the shop?
With the SIGs, not really from my perspective. I use a SIG MPX for my PCC division. I love that gun. Honestly, I think it's the best.
I love the MPX
Yeah.
too, and I think they've made tremendous strides with their rifle
Oh,
division
absolutely.
and their PCC
Yep.
division. I happen to know the head of their rifle, one of the heads of their rifle division personally. I think they do a great job. The issue I see with SIG is they have to take more time during their development.
Yeah.
You know, and they have to take more time making sure the products they release to market meet all the criteria and demands of the shooter. I think sometimes they neglect that a little bit, and if they paid attention, they would have gone into striker fire a lot sooner. I think that's
I
fair
agree.
to say.
Yeah. I mean, striker fire is the way to go for polymer guns, I'd say.
Absolutely.
For the most part, yeah.
So a few guys asked Tanfoglio ?
I have one. It's okay. I like other guns better. The 2011 is more my main thing. So.
CZ Shadow too.
Probably better than Tanfoglio, honestly. I recommend that over the Tanfoglio because it's actually cheaper, and then usually you get pretty much everything good to go already. The Tanfoglios need a pretty good trigger job, which JJ does if you ever need that for both guns, honestly. But the CZ is more forgiving, I would say, especially on the reloads because it's a small frame magazine going to a small frame gun. So if you miss, it doesn't want to kind of shoot back at you. The Tanfoglio is a large frame mag, or going into a large frame gun, which is not as forgiving. I'd
And the
say.
Tanfos are pretty reasonable.
Oh, absolutely.
You can get into them for a reasonable
Most
price.
guns now are pretty reasonable. They're like $1,000, $1,300.
Yeah.
They're good in production division already.
Yeah, the STIs, the CZs.
Yeah,
I
STIs
mean,
are cheap now too, which is good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not unheard of to get into, guys, especially if you want to have
More.
good gear. You know, if you want to have just get in the game and you're just doing local, I probably wouldn't recommend spending thousands. But
Not yet, at
if
least,
you want to
yeah.
get hot and heavy, the
Yeah.
Tanfos, the CZs, the STIs,
Yep.
that's going to be the way you want to go with trigger
Yeah.
jobs. And
Definitely don't
obviously-
skimp out of the gear either, like your range belt, your mag pouches, stuff like that. That lasts like 10, 20 years anyway. You might as well just spend as much as you think you're going to spend on it just to have it.
Buy once, cry once,
Pretty
right?
much, especially with the competition industry.
Right.
Yeah, you want the cutting edge stuff immediately, I'd say.
Who would you consider right now someone to keep their eye on that's really pushing the division?
And PCC,
In PCC and open.
JJ is always dangerous and open. Eric Raffel, I don't know if he shoots open anymore, but you got to watch out for too. There's usually still the greats still shooting open. It's a very hard division. It's pretty much we call it running with the wolves. Literally any mistake will cost you the match. So
Yeah, the winners are like
Yeah.
seconds apart, huh?
Yep,
Points,
pretty much, barely.
point
yeah,
seconds.
0.01 sometimes, stuff like that happens all the time.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So it's one of those things competing,
Yep.
especially in shooting sports, that you kind of always have those people you look up to, and then you have those people you look down to, and you're kind of like, and I say down meaning they're kind of on the cusp of that, reaching that level, and you always kind of have one eye on them, like
absolutely.
who's creeping up behind me or who's creeping up beside
Yeah.
me. It has to be interesting in shooting because when you hit the target, you hit the target. When you don't, you don't.
Pretty
so
much.
it's separated by just a few shots or just a few seconds or just 1/2 second too late, which makes it such a crazy sport. It's kind of like powerlifting where it's just a few pounds and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know who's right behind you
Yep.
and who's coming up. It's one of those sports that it you definitely can see year over year, like you said, with practice score. When like this dude's
He's coming up.
He's coming up. Like I have to
play
watch
for real
this.
the next day.
I got to play for real.
Yeah.
You know, that has to be so exciting, and I really wish that they could get that articulated in media. That would be amazing, because it is so much fun. Another question came in: 38 Super is too expensive for me to shoot every weekend.
Oh, for open gun, I usually recommend 9 major for
9
most people
major.
who don't want to get into 38 Super Comp or anything, just because it's the cost. Because most of the STI guns, you can still shoot 9 minor for practice. there's a standard 9mm versus the major. But when it comes to competition, you definitely want to shoot the major for the points. It's a big point difference in the long term.
Does it surprise you being in the gun store? So many companies the last couple of years have gone out of business.
Not really. A lot of companies they don't want to adapt to the new, I guess, new day. So it happens. It's not like nothing personal against them. It's
Is
just,
it because more you think how they market themselves and how they
a little bit, yeah,
how they present
a lot
themselves?
of people don't market, especially now. Like Colt and HK, they don't really sell to too many civilian stuff, which is unfortunate. They're really reliant on the I think military contracts for the most part. Great guns, just got to market them better, stuff like that.
Do you feel like I feel it's like, you know, a lot of people don't adapt to, a lot of companies don't adapt to kind of where the market's going. They're kind of
absolutely.
fixated on where it was
and then kind of stay there.
and they kind of stay there.
Yep. But then they'll stay there, unfortunately for them. So
They will.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It absolutely is crazy because you see everything that comes in and you see all
Yeah.
the new stuff. Give me kind of your top 5 companies to work with or to sell that you just kind of feel like they sell themselves in the shop and people come in and it's an easy sale.
Man, right now STIs sell like hotcakes. Everyone's trying to get into the 2011 guns, which is good because that gun is fantastic. Just that platform in general.
So STI.
Yeah, the trigger reset on it's like a 1911, 2011 style gun, just too quick. Mechanically, it already has an advantage. A lot of people are getting AKs now, which is kind of cool. That was finally a big thing, finally, after all these years. Because usually people were very much against it. You know, it's AR-15 all day kind of thing.
ARs are kind of dying off.
A little bit now, I'd say. The AR market's dying out.
What AK brands do you love?
Arsenal, I love that. I use it heavily. It's my favorite rifle right now, the 106 series. I kind of built it up like a Alpha Group build, so it's got railed out and everything.
What else do you like? What other brands?
Rifle Dynamics pretty cool. I just was gonna get one, but I like actually messing with guns myself, so I kind of like to tune it myself versus having a company do it. Another good AK company, Meridian Defense. I shot one of their guns kind of recently. That was pretty cool. And then the Kalashnikov KR9. I kind of want one of those to shoot PCC with later, just for fun.
KO9.
Yeah.
KO9.
And then Zastava's coming back in the country with the they got like a Dragunov copy. Kind of interested to see that. Yeah. Because that platform kind of just always had my interest. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're into the exotics, which is
A little bit.
super cool. It has to be kind of interesting, though, to see some of the stuff come in and what some people order.
Yeah.
When you're in the store and you're sitting there and someone comes in and they order something to pick up,
Yep.
have they ever ordered something and you're like, you don't want this?
A couple of times. Like when a first-time buyer buys like a 40 cal handgun,
Exactly.
it's like, oh my god! I'm like, I just gotta give them a heads up. It's like this is gonna have a lot of recoil. Just a heads up, especially when it's like a shield. I'm like, oh my god.
I have so many friends. Funny you say that. It's
Yeah.
funny you brought that topic up because,
Yeah.
and I don't want to get into the caliber debate with
Yep.
everybody,
Oh, absolutely.
but
It's
but
crazy.
you know, you and I will be on the same page, but everybody will be like, ah, you know, 45 for life,
Oh,
knockdown power.
Yeah, I used to be one of those guys when I was a kid.
So I was going through this with some of my, because I do jujitsu, so I'm
Yep.
around a lot of the MMA guys, and they'll all be like, yeah, man, I have a gun, I gotta shoot more, I want to shoot with you, and they'll be like, I have a Shield 40,
Oh, that's the worst.
and I'm like, how often do you shoot? And they're like, oh, I shot it once when I got it. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, why a 40? And they're
Yeah.
like, well, that's what my friend said.
Always.
And I'm like, long
Yeah.
sigh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, take that and sell it. And they're like, why? I have a case of ammo too. And I'm like,
Dump that
because
too.
you got to go get a 9 or you have to
Absolutely.
at least get a 38 something, a 380.
Yep.
You have to get something. And they're like, well, what do you recommend? I go, if you're not going to shoot at all, if it's just going to be a gun that sits in your nightstand essentially, then get yourself a Glock 19. You'll be fine with that.
perfect gun.
I said if you're gonna shoot a little bit and you're active and you're gonna carry and you feel like you're gonna use it or put it in your fanny bag, and I'm talking to the MMA crowd, I'm like, look at like, and you don't want to spend a ton of money. Look at like a Ruger LC. I'm like something small, something compact, maybe a Shield 9. I'm like something nice and flat that you can get your hands on, or a 43 would be fine.
Yep, something comfortable.
Something comfortable, but you get these guys who are like, but 40.
The power.
And I want to
Love the
get into
power.
like the whole.
Yeah.
Like, do you know how the 40 was designed?
Yeah,
why
pretty
it was
much from a
designed?
10 mil.
Yeah,
And they couldn't handle the 10 mil, so the agents switched, cut it down to a 40.
It was the idiot son of a 10 mil. Is
yeah.
the short answer.
Because they, unfortunately, they didn't really have that good training back then, so they couldn't get the hits on the targets.
And the
Yeah.
only reason it gained popularity was because the boards of chiefs are really predictable and simple.
Yep.
And every chief in the United States was like, oh, 40, 40. Now they're figuring out you can have more capacity.
Yep.
by having a 9,
Yeah.
and it's cheaper for the departments.
Absolutely.
And not only that, bullet technology has improved dramatically over
Come
the
a
last
long
15
way.
years. That a
come a long
9 ballistically offers you everything you could possibly want in terminal ballistics.
Absolutely.
And the 40, yeah, of course you can always have a little bit more there,
Yeah.
but it's a negligible amount. I'd rather have the extra rounds
Yeah, versus the recoil you're getting.
versus the recoil and the snappiness. But everybody seems to fall into that trap. Why do you think that is?
Man, just people just going to probably their friends, and their friends bought them, recommended other friends to do it. Just one of those things. We use 40 a lot in competition still, just because it makes major power factor for limited division.
Right.
But honestly, other than that, no one would ever use it, in my opinion.
How do you know when you're coaching someone, it's one of those things like I never have the patience to say
Oh God,
like,
it's hard.
hey, like this is what you need to get.
Yeah.
This is where I lose people. Like when I'm on a range with them and they'll be like, show me something. And I'll be like, okay, you have the wrong gun to begin with. Like,
It's like, this is over before it started.
Let's start there. It's over before it started. That's always a tough conversation.
Absolutely.
Always. And it doesn't make it any easier. And especially with friends or people you have a relationship with, it's hard to be like, you bought the wrong thing already.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, go to a range first.
And then
Shoot
try 'em
a
out.
little bit. Play
Definitely.
around with some stuff. Don't look at it as caliber, knockdown power, all these things. Find what you like.
Absolutely.
And then we'll build around it. Like usually, if you put an MPX in their hand or a MP5, they're gonna be like, "Geez, I really love this." I'll be like, "Okay, good. We're on the right path."
Yeah, absolutely.
Now let me show you a 17. Now let me show you a 19. Let's back into this a little bit because I think you'll find it more manageable. And then getting into the question of what you're going to use it for. If you're not going to be a competitor, let's talk about where it's going to be, how you're going to utilize it,
Pretty much.
and go from there. Do you feel like with the resurgence of 2011s, it's resurge in 1911s?
Single stack guns, still kind of slow, I'd say. The double stack has really revolutionized the market, especially all the new shooters getting in these days. They know it's like the platform to go with for the certain divisions.
Of course.
That thing is just mechanical advantage all the time. So that's what it comes down to.
I think you're absolutely right. So a bunch of guys are chiming in. The 40 is dead.
Yeah,
Most
absolutely.
places not stocking it now either.
Not really.
My dad was telling me to use a 40 or 45 as an old officer, and my grandfather, that's why we ran with it. I did my research and got a 9mm
man.
instead.
Yeah, back then.
Good
yeah.
move, Daryl. But it's just about understanding the history of it and where
Absolutely.
it came from and where it was born out of. And
Yep.
that's usually what I get into with people. I'm like, let me understand, let me explain to you where that caliber came from
Yep.
and why it exists. And one of the reasons that it's on the market is it going to make or break you? No, but you'd have to train on that gun a lot more because of the snappiness of it and that caliber. You'd have to really work that, and having the right platform to deliver the round is critical. But most people don't understand that. It's a complicated conversation, and it gets into a whole nother litany of things that I keep it really simple. I tell people all the time, I train on a 17,
Yep.
I carry a 19.
Yeah.
The difference is negligible.
Pretty much same gun.
Pretty much the same gun. I have everything I want in that caliber. I have everything in terms of capacity, knockdown power, conceal carry, concealability,
Yep.
which is really important to me, and then the ability to deploy it in an effective manner, consistently. And that's what I tell everybody all the time when they say, "What should I buy for conceal carry?" I say, "Buy the gun you can conceal and shoot accurately."
It's like, what's your body type? What's
Yeah.
fits you the best? What kind of holster you're going to use? Stuff like that.
Which brings me to the next question: holsters.
Yeah.
Everybody obsesses over holsters. When you're competing,
Yeah.
you run what? And when you're conceal carrying, you
When
run
I'm competing, I usually like the Limcat holster or the Gugaribus one.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much an open style holster for the open guns. It's not really like a full Kydex one. It's more just holds the trigger guard and then the gun's out in like less than 1/10 of a second. So
It's pretty crazy.
it gets pretty intricate with those holsters.
Yeah.
But if it's
and
Kydex ones, they're all pretty good these days, especially with all those people making them now.
everybody's making
amazing,
Kydex.
amazing
Everybody's
stuff.
bending
Yep.
Kydex. It's so interesting to see the industry evolve and how much gear is out there. Do you ever look at a piece of gear like I don't want to pick on a company. Maybe we'll just throw one out there like a full conceal because they've been picked on
Yeah.
enough.
Oh man, the folding gun.
Yeah, like do you see stuff and you're just like, why?
Yeah, I usually look at it from another perspective. I like to see it like they're looking in other directions, which is cool because you can kind of branch out from there.
Because Q wanted to get a full conceal.
Yeah, it's not that quick to deploy in my opinion versus a standard handgun.
John
So-
thinks I'm crazy, but I'm thinking about starting to open carry, to be honest with you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think you should, Q. That's a wise move.
Probably.
You'll be the first one gunned down. You'll be the first one. You and Jeremy can open carry ARs.
Yeah.
And you'll be the first ones to go. That's good. That's good. Marco and I need a few sacrificial lambs. We need a few people to take the fall.
The first hit.
Yeah.
Take the first hit.
You'll be perfect. It's so funny. Low visibility, by the way. The first thing you look at is the shoes. I'm dead already. I wear speed cross, so I'm toast. They're shooting me first. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's fun shooting the shit about this stuff, and I think it's so much fun to see some of the gear come out there. We got SHOT Show kind of looming in the distance, and I know a lot of companies debuting and launching a lot of really cool stuff. I'm not going to name names, Springfield, some different brands that are going to be launching some new things. Is it still excite you to see what's out there?
Oh, absolutely. Every time at SHOT Show, it's like kid at a candy store all the time. Plus, I get to see all of my friends again. They come from all around the country, so.
And it's kind of interesting because I try to tell people all this every time I talk to them, I'm like, we haven't seen a ton of innovation over the last 20, 25 years. Everything is pretty much the same.
Yeah, we're like at the golden era
peak
right now.
We're at the peak of what we would probably call like a golden era of shooting, where what we're seeing evolve more is the ammo and the development of primers and just the quality control around a lot of that stuff is getting a lot better.
Optics are getting way better. That's
Optics
probably the
are
highest
getting
development
better
right now.
Yeah, I would
especially
say.
for the handgun stuff, the mini red dots.
And they're getting less pricier.
Oh, absolutely. Way cheaper, especially with the Holosuns. Those things dominate the market.
I think
right now.
Vortex and Holosun have completely changed the game.
Yeah.
You can get so much quality, so much bang for your buck. It's ridiculous. But it's a lot of fun. It's a fun era to be in. I mean, I think some of the purgings and some of the AR companies kind of getting sucked out of the business is a good thing. I think in time it's going to level off and we're reaching a new normal. And I think for a lot of people, it's going to be kind of a little bit of an awakening in the next 2 years because I think we're going to continue to go through a little bit of a purging. So Q, one of the guys, I'm sure you saw this. He said Q will be the first guy shot.
Hey, man, just because I'm big and black, man, come on, work with me, man. It's open carry. It's the future.
It's the future. How do you feel about open carry, guys?
They're allowed to do it. I wouldn't do it personally because that's the first target right there.
The expectation of surprise is gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because there was that kid. It was in the news, Q.
Oh, man, with a vest. I'm like, that is not a good way to do
Where
that.
was he?
It's like Walmart or
was
something.
Was it Walmart?
He went to Walmart after Walmart got shut up.
That was in Missouri. I think it was Missouri.
Yeah.
What was he thinking?
He's a fucking idiot, man. He just wanted some attention.
I think he's trying to be an activist.
And he lucky didn't catch a bullet, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, he went in with the full. He had a AR, like a.
He had the whole costume on. Yeah, he had the whole
operator out.
Yeah, he was operator out. Yeah,
operator out. Yeah. Just missing the beard, I think.
Yeah, he had the whole costume on. I'm gonna start to do that as a Halloween costume, like the operator costume. It's crazy. We live in a time where that's a thing, and it's like I'm gonna make my political statement by wearing this stuff. It's crazy to me.
I think it's a bad way to do it. That's
fuck yeah. What would happen in the Philippines?
Oh, man, see that? Well, there's got a lot of guys carrying guns anyway. There's a bunch of security guards in the Philippines. It's like a common job there, so they usually carry shotguns. But if that happened, probably a shootout, I think.
I think so, too. I think so, too.
It'd be kind of weird to see in the street.
It's crazy. Yeah. But, interestingly enough, you're talking about optics, and I was thinking, I was racking my brain. Who are some of your top 5 optics companies if people are looking out there, whether it's for red dots or just kind of companies you look at and you're like, they're doing a good job?
Oh, I was raised on aim points all my life, so I prefer the simple dot and then lightweight stuff, and then really made robust. But the Holosun stuff right now, I use that for pretty much all my competition guns. The HS, so it's 510C, that big EOTech kind of looking one. That thing is awesome. Haven't broken one yet, surprisingly. So.
I prefer a square glass, rectangle glass, because
a bigger field of view.
Bigger field of view, and I feel like that's how rooms are orientated. I feel like with a cone, you get
a little tunnel.
You get a little tunnel vision, a circular system. Yep. I'm not as big a fan. Tony will run an aim point. Yeah. I will not. I run a Steiner on my MPX.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beast. It's a tank. That Steiner's a tank, and it can take a pounding. I'm not a huge fan of the EOTech from the standpoint of the reticle.
Oh, the battery life too.
The battery life.
Rough. Yeah.
Leaves much to be desired. I really do like that EOTech's doing a dedicated 300 blackout. I like some of the things that they're doing. I think they took a huge step in the right direction if they took some heat. Hollow Sun,
Yeah.
again, I'm not super well versed in their product,
Yeah,
but
the
I
one I
think
use-
for the money, bang
it's
for the buck.
freaking like $300 if you're golden. It's pretty much like a Neotech, but
Yeah.
battery life is better. You get the option of 3 reticles in that thing, which is nice.
Oh yeah.
And then it's cheap. I run that in my open gun and my MPX. So
What optics company do you feel is in the most trouble?
right now,
Because I think we're heading towards a little bit of an optics purging, and I think
it's about that time.
I
yeah.
think Leupold's in deep shit.
A little bit. I haven't seen too many being used these days in the circuit as much. A lot of guys using Vortex now. That's like the #1.
Yeah, I feel like they're in deep shit,
Yeah.
and I feel like their arrogance in the community is going to hurt them in the long run.
Yeah. The only time you see Leopold's in our market, it's usually Delta Point Pro,
Yep.
but that's kind of fading out now that everyone's using the Hollow Sun on the open gun at least.
Yeah, I feel like they're. I mean, I don't mean to pick on them. I don't have a vested interest in picking on
Oh
them.
yeah, I like Leopold. I have a bunch of them. so-
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like they're in deep trouble.
Yeah.
And if they don't do something about it fast, they're going to fade away because I'll tell you that Razor HD at $2,000 cheaper, you put
it's-
that thing right up against
It's
a Mark
big
V.
difference. Yeah.
It's right there, and their Delta Point Pro, like you said, it's a tank.
Yep.
I'll give it all the credit in the world, but for a couple $100 cheaper, you're in the game with an equal,
Absolutely.
if not better, but equal product.
Pretty much.
Yep. I feel like they're just missing the mark on their pricing, and you needn't look any further than their red dots. I mean, they're selling $1,000 red dot.
Yeah. The LCO. or something.
LCO.
Yep.
And the
Nice
LCO.
dot. Just
yeah.
expensive. I'm like, this is crazy. You can buy like 4 dots with this.
And to me, if the aim point's the top of the market at $600, you missed it by $400, in my opinion. You'd have to really convince me to spend
Absolutely.
$400 more.
That's like a gun right there.
Oh,
Or 2 cases of ammo. Is
at
how we measure
least.
it for competition. Yeah.
So I feel like they could be in a little bit of a pickle with the market. But that's just more market research than anything and failure to kind of hit their mark. But
Yeah, especially these days, it comes at a cost. Like a lot of guys don't want to shell out that much,
of course,
especially in the beginning, which is hard.
We got
Experienced
Daryl
guys like us
asking
will
about
spend
the
it, but yeah.
the 507C.
no, the fast fire.
Oh,
Bro.
fast fire. Little experience with it on some rifles, but window's kind of small. I beat my stuff up honestly, so I want the most robust stuff. So Holson hasn't failed me yet, which is awesome. Aim points, I've broken a couple, but I'm known for being able to break optics because I shoot them pretty bad and I use them pretty rough. But their customer service is excellent for most of those companies. I never had any issues with them. So
It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy how much the market's expanded and blown up. It's absolutely nutty.
yeah,
What over the next couple of years? I want to kind of pick your brain on this stuff because I'm not a genius like you with it. What other areas do you? I mean, clothing's expanded a ton. Obviously,
Absolutely.
now everybody has tactical jeans and
Yeah.
this and that. What other areas do you see kind of developing or continuing to develop and grow into the industry a lot better and a lot stronger? I have my thoughts, but I want to see kind of what you think. Is it pouches? Is it mags? Is it mag carriers? Is it just guns? Where do you see kind of the next innovation coming from?
I think we're peaking out right now. The optics are really, I think, the next biggest thing right now, especially some of the stuff we see now. The pouches and stuff, there's a lot of really good gear out there now, I'd say. There's a lot of routes you can go for pretty inexpensive, too.
My bold prediction is that I think low visibility clothing
absolutely.
and low visibility bags
Yeah.
and things like that have made the largest leap, and it doesn't get enough credit out
Absolutely.
there. I look at what like Vertex has done. I look at what Grey Ghost has done.
Yeah.
I look at a lot of that stuff, and I look at a lot of whether it's jeans or pants or things like that that's being designed right now. And I think soft goods have absolutely blown up, and we don't give it any credit at all
Not really.
at the shows or at the events. And really, we need to, because I think we're in a true resurgence of clothing and tactical wear,
I'd agree.
where it's actually leveling out and becoming normal. And even like the shooting shirt you're wearing, the days
Yeah.
of like the skin tight
Yeah, this
shooting,
The
it's
JJ size, as they call
yeah,
it.
they're becoming like normal. Like they don't look too you don't look like a goober walking
Yeah.
around the show.
Exactly.
I feel like that's becoming something that we all can kind of say, wow, like I really like what's going on in that space. Especially the bag. I go to the Vertex booth and I look at their stuff and I'm like, damn, this shit is
They got nice
really
bags.
cool. The stuff they're cranking out and they're doing a great job there. And then I look at like some of the low vis clothing, the button ups and stuff like that, and I'm like, I'd wear this.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas 5 years ago, I don't know if you remember, I would never wear that.
It's like, oh, I'm like a first guy to get shot because I got gun stuff on.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the pants with 9 pockets and 17 gussets, and you could pick the guy out from a mile away.
Yep.
I feel like that's gotten a lot better. I feel like eyewear has improved so
Oh,
much
absolutely.
in terms of like you don't look like your Jose Canseco playing for the '86
Oh,
Athletics, and Q knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you don't have to wear the crazy reflective glasses or anything like that. Like I feel, brands like Gargoyles and certain brands that have come into the space to make all ballistic eyewear and make it normal looking, and you can go out on the range and shoot, and you just don't look like a goober. So,
Pretty much, yeah.
You know,
Great, John. Now I got to get rid of my whole closet.
exactly. And of course, Ear Pro.
Oh, Ear Pro has come a long way.
A long
That
way.
electronic stuff, excellent.
All the electronic stuff, whether it's Axle, Sport
Yeah, it's like
Ears,
House of Hearing,
or House of
Harrison
Hearing,
Sons,
Harrison
yeah.
Sons.
It's crazy.
It's all come such a long way where it's inconspicuous, it's normal looking. If you have a good enough bankroll, you can get some very quality Ear Pro that you don't have to look like you're contacting NASA. With
I
a
hate
pair-
the headphone ones. I hate them.
Oh my God! And you can actually be a normal functioning person on the range, so that's been a lot of fun. And then there's suppressors,
Oh, yeah.
and suppressor tech and cost,
Cheap
though it
now.
hasn't come down as far as I'd like it.
Yeah, I know, right?
It has come down, and it's
Yeah.
reasonable. I mean, you can get cans now for under $1,000
Oh,
and
yeah.
even under $500. There's some quality cans out there, but it used to be. I remember the days, and I'm sure Jeremy does. The days of a can being $1,500. It was untouchable.
Yep.
It was an expensive, tall order to get a can. Now you can get a 300 Win Mag can for about $1,000.
Pretty easily now.
Pretty
Absolutely.
easily.
Yep.
So, and that'll shoot and drop anything in North America. So, you're at the top of the food chain with that. And
Yeah.
you can get one can now that'll work not just with your 300 blackout, but with your 9,
Every caliber.
every caliber. and
Multi-use. Excellent.
You're done. So, for $600 for the can and $200 for the stamp, you're kind of done at $800. So
Yep.
it's come a long, long way. And
Yeah.
that stuff is the stuff that I feel doesn't get talked about enough in
Not
terms
much.
of the industry and innovation, and that's what competitiveness drives, and
Yep.
having multiple companies in the marketplace. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to kind of walk around SHOT Show this year and see what people bring
Same.
to the table
Every year.
every year.
Yep.
So let's get into this, because then we got to wrap, because believe it or not, we've already gone 50 minutes.
I got to open the shop in a few
I
minutes.
know. So, and I know you got to get to work.
Yeah.
What you have somebody walk in your shop,
Yep.
okay, and they come to you and they say, Marco, it's my first time. Take me through the process you take them through.
Oh, first time shooting competition? or
time,
just
everything.
Everything? Oh, man.
Marco, I was told to, I'm sending
Yeah.
someone down and they've never been in a gun shop before. Take me
Yeah.
through your process.
I'd usually, if they're looking for a concealed carry gun, I usually recommend just finding what fits their hand the best in the shop and then see which one they like.
They don't know what they want.
Yeah. Oh, man.
How do you start? What's the
I'd
question?
be like, what are you comfortable spending, I guess?
Okay, start with price.
And then usually comes down, what they come down to is sometimes they want to spend cheap, but I'm like, how much is your life worth to you? So you definitely want to spend the money. Otherwise, definitely test the gun, practice with it, take some classes even. That's always a big plus. A lot of people think they buy a gun, they're good to go. They are not, most of them. So
Classes,
Yep.
price.
otherwise, definitely a caliber. I'd recommend 9mm pretty much all day long. Like
Caliber.
you said, bullet technology come too far now. So it's almost on par with 45. Otherwise, that's about it. Give them a walkthrough of like just how to shoot it, what points when they bring up the gun, like how the sights point.
So you give them kind of a little
Yeah,
bit of a
little bit
dry
of
fire
tutorial.
lesson.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit of a dry fire.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
before you send them walking, do you talk to them about how to secure it?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like get a lockbox, and then maybe when you go to bed, take it out of the lockbox so it's ready to go.
Or at least a
Stuff like
bag?
that. How many kids do they have in the house? Do they have kids or single? What kind of house they live in? Is it like a brick wall backstop or is it soft?
I
So
didn't think of that.
let them know if there's like if you miss, you could be liable for that miss because bullets go through stuff.
You own every bullet that
Yeah,
leaves the
absolutely.
gun.
Yeah.
And then how do you advise them on ammo for, like, do you tell them to buy RIP ammo with ninjas
Oh,
jumping
God,
out of the
no.
bullet heads?
I'm sponsored by Supervel, actually a local company. They make a great hollow point. That thing is money. There's no recoil, and it's a solid copper. And then I just tell them, make sure you buy at least 2 to 3 boxes of your carry ammo, and then test your gun dirty with it to see if it functions. That's another big thing people miss out on, because some guns don't like certain hollow points, which is these days not so much of a problem with the new stuff,
Test
but
dirty. I
Yeah.
like it.
test it dirty. Yeah.
Test it dirty.
Yeah.
I like that, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I'm going to test you dirty later.
Yep.
I see the way you're
Dirty
looking
gun.
at me in the hallway. So
Now, boys.
now,
Yeah.
so this is awesome. I had a ton of fun. So tell
Yeah,
everybody
good
where they
times.
can find you. Give us your IG. Q, pull up all the stuff. Tell us where Magnus is.
Yeah.
Give me the whole rundown. Where can people contact you and find you?
I'm always at Magnus like every week unless I'm shooting a match. So Magnus Sports, we're down at 6450. What is it, Cameron Street, Suite 106.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, pretty much right down the street.
There
That's
it
the
is.
website.
So
And if you ever have questions about the website, just call us because sometimes the products aren't fully up to date because we sell in and out really quick. Just don't be afraid to call us. We do phone orders all the time.
There's everything.
Yep.
And JJ does all the tune-ups and everything in
Pretty
there. And then you
much.
got Jeremy in there,
Yeah, with the custom
Dark
work.
Alliance doing the custom work, doing the ninja
Awesome,
shit.
awesome engraving stuff. Yeah.
Where can people find you on
Oh,
IG
I'm on
and everywhere else?
IG M4 Coolio. So it's M4 COOL.
I hate that shit. Change it to your
Probably
name.
should.
Change
People-
it to your name.
People tell me that all the time. It's hard to find
Yeah,
it. I think I'm going to change it.
I don't
So,
understand people that do that. It's
Yeah.
like, my name is Ninja Cat 7. I'm
didn't
like,
think about it back
what is
then.
this, Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
Like, just use your name.
That's a good idea.
Like, the best thing I ever did was use my name. It's
Mm-hmm.
just genius, you know?
Yeah,
And
I tried to pull it up on Instagram. I got like Chinese porn.
Oh, man.
Oh.
my
I
God.
got like torture porn going on there.
Oh,
I
snap.
don't want to know what you're doing in your personal time. He's getting like Yu-Gi-Oh cards on there. Can you find it on IG or no?
Or just search my full name, Marco Cabahug,
All right, hold on.
MRC. Yeah, I got to change it for sure. People tell me that all the time.
You should. I mean, you got to
It's,
brand
yeah.
yourself first,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's the number one thing. It's like pay yourself first, brand yourself
Mm-hmm.
first, and then everything else will fall into place. Like I never understood people that they go by these like
aliases?
like these aliases. Like I'm tactical operator number 7. You know, there he
Got him.
is.
I
Yeah.
got him.
M4 Cooley. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I just kind of thought of it real quick. I didn't really think I was going to get into social media that big when I made it. I'm
He
like,
was
I'll
a
just
big
make whatever.
Coolio fan back
Yeah.
in the day.
Fuck me. And seriously, M4 Coolio.
Yep. That is it. I also do indoor bouldering. It's a big hobby for mine. So
Oh, I
think
see
it's
that.
fun. It's actually down the street from here, too. So.
Look at that. Look at this. This is so
Yeah.
much America on here. This is amazing.
America. Yeah.
What trophy's that?
That is the Magnus Cup trophy. I took second to Max, Leon Grandis.
Oh,
He kicked my ass the second and third day. Though.
you should have cheated. Second overall.
Oh,
Boo.
man. Yeah.
That's a cool
First
looking
place
trophy
loser.
though.
Second place is no place.
It's pretty much first place loser.
Oh,
Good
that's-
experience as usual. though.
That is fucking badass.
yeah.
And, listen, for all you guys, I'm in that shop all the time.
Yep.
Great crew of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome going in there. They're always laughing, having a good time.
Too much.
If
too much
you're
fun.
in the Las Vegas area and you're hanging out, go down there, check them out, pick
Yep.
their brains. These are some of the best shooters in the world. They're jaded, but they're great guys. They're gonna show you some amazing shit, and then you're gonna go buy a Glock or you're gonna go buy a Smith and Wesson Shield.
The poor
but-
people gun.
But along the way, they're
That's
going to
bad.
show you some amazing shit. And they all know their stuff through
Yeah.
and through. So don't
Absolutely.
hesitate to go see them and then get some great custom work from Jeremy. So
Yeah, laser engraving.
it's got to be fun. And before we wrap, it has to be a ton of fun having JJ in there
Oh,
and having
man,
access to the shop.
It's like a party every day.
And
honestly. So,
and you're in an amazing place for it, and you're going to have a blast, and I think you're going to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
So keep competing, keep crushing it, keep doing your thing. I loved having you in. The time
Oh,
flew. I want to make
Appreciate
sure
it.
I didn't miss any questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if we got anything that came in. Brandon Dems win. Everybody's shitting on the Democrats. Same thing about lockbox. Take it out before you go to bed if you do not have kids. Yeah. Do you advise people that if they don't have kids, the people that do the lockbox thing by the bed, how do you approach that? That's a common question.
I usually recommend just for safety purposes, just to make it harder for someone to steal it.
Right.
Really, if someone wants it, they're going to get it. But I mean, just make it harder for them.
Nail that
but-
thing in your
yeah.
nightstand.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know why somebody asked this. Some feed ramps hate polymer-tipped self-defense rounds.
Kind of true. Yeah, it's very common. These days, not so many of the guns have issues anymore, but back then, yeah, there was a bunch of them,
Yeah, so
depending on gun.
people ask the randomest questions. But I loved having you, man.
Oh, man,
It's
it was
been a
good
lot of fun.
times. Yeah.
Anyone in the Vegas area, if you're visiting Vegas, head down to Magnus. Go check them out. Ask for Marco. He won't steer you wrong. If you get a chance to see JJ in there, he's not the guy. Marco's the guy.
Kind of,
Ignore him and say you're
Yeah.
there to see Marco.
they call me Mini JJ, like a stunt
Mini-
double.
Like a stunt
So, I'm
double.
a stunt double.
A stunt double.
I'm a stunt double.
Jeremy's my stunt double. When I can't make it to an event or
Yeah.
I'm the after, you're the before.
way before. So I appreciate everybody. We're gonna sign out. Q, cut it to the trailer.
We're cutting
Yeah.
it out.